Welcome to the Student Sector Spotlight podcast, brought to you by the Humber Outreach Programme.
Today we have got the fabulous Kelly Cheesman on with us, who is the co-director of Beverley Travel. So thank you so much for joining me today, Kelly.
Good morning, Rachel.
So what's your background in terms of career?
Well, I actually started out in hospitality. So I was born into a family that ran pubs, and actually went on to run them myself. I did it a little bit more professionally than that. My parents, made me go to college. I went to college and then on to university, and actually got a degree in licensed retail management. So there's not many people that could say they've got a degree in running pubs. But basically it was a retail management degree, part of the travel, tourism and hospitality school at Leeds Met. So although not directly related, you can say that there's a lot of synergy between travel, tourism, hospitality, lots of customer service, and it's all feel good, isn't it? Hospitality, people going out and enjoying themselves. Holiday, exactly the same. It's much needed, and people need their holidays. Probably the biggest expense in a lot of people's year is their family holiday. So it's a huge industry, and it's really important to people, and it needs some good people running the travel businesses to make sure things don't go wrong. My journey into tourism and the travel industry started about 5.5 years ago, and I actually bought a franchise. So I went into travel independently, but through with the support of a franchise company, which I don't regret at all. It was very expensive to join, but I knew it was a career that I wanted to pursue, that I would do well in, that it would be as successful as I let it be. And I'm a hard worker, so I knew that I would learn and do what I needed to do to make it a success. So much so that only a couple of years later, I left that franchise. I'd kind of outgrown it. They were clipping my wings, not allowing me to be as independent as I wanted to be. I developed quite a niche in sports travel, so I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. So it was the right time for me to move on. At the same time, a colleague who also had his own franchise, he'd started around the same time as me, also felt the same and moved on. So we moved to an independent consortium so we could do things more freely, still apart, still our own businesses, but with this independence. And that was September 19. So, well, for me, it was September 19, and for him, it was just towards the end of the year. And then come March 2020, obviously the pandemic hit. The world completely closed down. You couldn't travel anywhere. And we spent a good couple of months just cancelling and protecting people's money and fighting to get refunds for people. It was a really, really difficult time, but we just, the strongest survived, basically. We did what we needed to do for our customers, and thankfully everybody happy at the end of it, which is good. We set out to make sure that people were happy, and they were. And around May time, he wanted to run an idea by me. So I drove down to Beverley, went and he took me into this great big concrete building, because it was just a shell at the time, huge, great big building, and said, why don't we pool our businesses together? Let's start from scratch, and we'll open a store here. At the time, there was no opening of anything because all shops were closed. So this is May 2020.
Yeah.
I'd kind of not even seen my parents at this point, because we weren't allowed out, and we'd gone down and had this kind of business meeting, and a couple of weeks of pondering and thinking, and decided to go for it. So that was 3 years ago. We opened in the July, so it was just under 3 years that we opened, and we'd literally have only just in the last month seen the back of the restrictions to the USA. So there has been, the whole time that we've been there, we've faced the challenges of COVID and restrictions of travel around the world. But we've done it, and we've survived, and we've come out with a really successful business. It kind of blows us away, actually, how things have progressed under such difficult circumstances, and the success that we've had.
With so many restrictions and the past being what it's been in COVID, I wonder whether that has impacted on people wanting to use more travel agencies, or to have that protection and advice from people. I wonder whether that's a positive thing going forward.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
So there are those people that were really looked after by travel agents that would never not use one again.
Yeah.
There were those that had booked things independently, because obviously the rise of the online travel agents, the likes of Love Holidays and On the Beach, these are companies that were so well known and used. They were pushed before they were stripped of their ABTA membership, because they were just not refunding people. So people are really cautious now. They spent a long time. Some of them never got the money back. Some of them spent hours and hours and hours on the phone, just like we did, but they're not paid to do that, just trying to get their money back. And it made people want that security. You've also got those people that are really conscious of the high street and shopping local and supporting local, because they know how hard it's been. So we've got great support from people in our local area and in our local networks that have come back and been really, really loyal to us.
I will say that I've recently booked my honeymoon through Beverley Travel and had a wonderful experience. I can vouch. And I'll put all the information for Beverley Travel at the bottom of the podcast, and also on the YouTube description as well, that people can access. For any students that might be watching this that are maybe in high school at the minute, what do you think is the best sort of GCSEs they could take, maybe some outside hobbies if they're interested in this as a career for them? What would you say would be a good selection of subjects to maybe look at?
I would say, and some of this is taught in school and some of it isn't, but there's a large degree of maths that we do. So we're constantly working with figures and working out prices, and certainly when we do things under our own atoll, we use calculations an awful lot. So maths is important, as to be able to do basic maths. I'm not talking trigonometry, but certainly to understand numbers is important. English. There's so many elements to this job. Even the likes of writing travel reports and doing social media posts and things, that there would be English involved. So to understand that is probably really advantageous as well. Customer service is a huge part of what we do, because it's all about the customer and it's all about understanding the customer and being able to listen. So those kind of listening skills is really key. If you don't listen to your customer and know what they want, you're just going to go on a wild goose chase. And yeah, there's elements of sales and understanding sales and selling skills as well that's important. And just being empathetic and understanding and listening and really caring about the job that you're doing is really, really important.
My brain sort of naturally went to geography, but I think you're right. I think some of those other skills that you've just mentioned are probably more valuable than that in some ways.
100%. The thing is, we will never be experts for everywhere in the world. We can't possibly be. It's too big a place and there's too many variables and too many things. But what we do is work with those experts in order to find the perfect solution for that customer at the time. So it's more important to listen and understand and know, and then know where to find the right people that are the experts to find what your customer needs.
Yeah, that's really
and that's
good.
what we teach. We teach all of our sales team that is more important. We don't expect them to know all the states in America. I don't think I could tell you all the states in America. Well, I couldn't. I know I couldn't. But and we don't need to. We just need to know where to go to find those people, and have built those relationships in order to get the best for our customers.
What do you think are the best kind of routes to get into this industry? Is it some kind of degree or apprenticeship? What do you think?
We've got a team that have come to work for us that have done apprenticeships. So we've had a school leaver that's come through and done a relevant apprenticeship, and we've got a travel apprenticeship provider. So she's come from the travel industry, she's set up her own company, and we have used them for our apprentices. We've got another lady now, she's 23 and she's doing a higher level apprenticeship. So she did do travel and tourism at college. She went out to work in resort as like a rep for TUI. So she did that a few years ago, and now she's with us doing this higher level apprenticeship. There's also different routes through college. So there's travel and tourism courses, but they're BTECs. So as the government are kind of phasing out the BTECs and replacing with T-levels, we're hoping that there will be a T-level set up for 2024. They mix the education element with the work experience, which actually is exactly what is needed for travel. I think as long as the content is right on the travel courses, and then you're mixing that with the experience of being in the, in the workplace and seeing how a travel agency operates, then it's the perfect combination. Apprenticeships are great if you're ready to go out to work. I've got an 18-year-old. I can't imagine him going out to work every day. He's at college, living his dream. I know it's not for everyone, but for those that it is, then a T-level hopefully will be the right option.
You said there about some people, or I think you've got a member of staff that's come through apprenticeship that had done some rep work through TUI. Yeah. Is that something you'd recommend for young people?
I don't think it's particularly relevant for what we do. If you was talking about actually working as a travel consultant, I don't think it's necessary. As a life skill, one of my only regrets in life, I've had a brilliant life, and touch wood, I can't regret anything that I've done. But I do wish I'd worked abroad. I wish I'd have had that life experience. I've holidayed a lot and I now travel a lot with work, but I never experienced working abroad. And I think as a life experience, it's a great one. And I can't imagine many people would regret it. Interestingly, there is still higher level master's degrees in international tourism. I was only looking the other day actually at what was about, and you can still do that at the Leeds Met, which is the university that I went to with that school. Not so much at a degree level, which is just crazy that they do the higher levels, the masters, but not the standard. It's more based around the events and the retail management at the degree level, and then jumps up to international tourism management.
I guess it's waiting to see with T-levels what happens with that for travel students that are interested in. What about hobbies? Do you think there's anything students could do as a hobby to kind of push their skill set in that way?
Yeah, anything that is kind of broadening your horizons to the world and travel types is always going to help. There's so much out there, there's so much information that you can learn. And actually, if you're not interested in travel, then it's probably not the right the right industry for you in the first place, because the opportunities once you're in travel to travel are huge. I've done so much travel in the last year, some of it personally and some of it through work. I'm actually due to jet off to Florida on Monday for 6 nights for a work trip. And that one, just to kind of give you an insight into what it entails, we've got 2 nights at the Universal Resort. Then they're taking us to Anna Marie Island, which most people go to Florida, you wouldn't even think about going kind of past Orlando, and then moving to Tampa for 2 nights at Tampa. So, on these trips, we'll go and experience the hotels. So we'll go have hotel visits to see the different hotels so we can advise our customers. We will get VIP treatment around Universal. So I'm sure there'll be loads of fast passes. I'll say that quietly so that my kids don't hear, because they won't be very impressed. And I know there's a couple of activities that I've seen on the itinerary for us to do different things at Tampa and Anna Marie Island as well. So these are all experiences that they give us as travel professionals, because we can then talk honestly, truthfully about them to our customers and advise these places for them to go. These opportunities come up all the time. So you've got to want to travel, and you've got to want to be able to give that experience. There's such things, we call it a travel booker or a travel consultant, and the travel booker is when you will walk into a travel agency, you kind of know what you want. You can sit there and it'll be your standard package holiday to Greece or Spain, that you want. And they are the vast majority of holidays from this country. We do the package holidays to the Med, and that is the majority. But actually, to be a true travel consultant and be able to really make those tailor-made itineraries, then you've got to have an interest and you've got to be passionate about it. So anything you can do to broaden your horizons, to watch the travel bloggers and watch what they do and read things as well, it'll all help.
So if there's anybody that was maybe looking to apply to certain jobs, say they'd got their qualifications and what they needed, what's the process like? Is it your kind of standard application or CV, cover letter, interview?
Yep, very standard. We often get applications that come in, CVs that will come in via the email, so they go via our website, see what we're, positions we're offering at the time, apply via email, and we'll get them on the phone, make an appointment for them to come in and have an interview. Sometimes it goes to second interviews, depending on the role they're applying for. Sometimes there'll be a bit of some kind of example role play work where we'll give them an itinerary, or we give them a brief and they've got to come up with an itinerary for us. And that works really well because we get to see how people interact and what we don't expect them to know everything, as I say, but it's the interaction and the being able to source those kind of ideas and be able to liaise with the customer that's really important.
With that role play, do they then use your system, I presume, to do that, to research that process with you, or is it more to do with the conversation that you're having?
Yeah, it's more to do with the conversation, and we'll give them an easy brief. We're not planning a trek around South America, but it'll be something simple that they can access themselves online, so they'll be able to search just as they would as they were looking for their own holiday, and be able to get the information that we're asking from them, really.
Yeah, I guess let's just end this then with any kind of top tips that you might have.
I would say it's really, really important to make connections with local travel agents and try and get some work experience.
Yeah.
I recently gave a talk to the tourism students. So they're just coming to the end of their first year. And despite the education they've had on their course, they'd not actually had any experience in an agency, which to me just seemed so, they'd missed so many opportunities by not doing that. And I'd welcome anyone to kind of get in touch and kind of speak to us if they want advice of getting in, or speak to their local travel agency and ask if they've got, even if it's just 2 or 3 hours a week where you could kind of go in and do a bit of work experience and see how a travel agency works and what the work of a travel consultant. It will really give you an insight, and it's incredible for your CV to have that on. It's one thing being committed to a course, but actually to have gone off on your own back and done work experience and know what's involved will really put you above anybody else who's applying for the role. And I actually said to these students, when I did the talk, and I saw them a few weeks ago, they're entering into the most amazing industry in the world. You get to see amazing things, you get to plan amazing things for people. Like yourself, your honeymoon, it's the most important holiday you'll ever have. And it's an incredible privilege for somebody to trust you with that and know that you're the expert and that you can help them, and that you're there if things go wrong, because sometimes things go wrong and we can't help that. But as long as you're there to do it, it's the best industry in the world. You just have to grab every opportunity, and there's such a shortage of there's a shortage of staff, period, in our industry. So if you work hard and you do the right things, you will have the pick of the best jobs. 100% you will, because we're all kind of clambering after those best people at the moment. And I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago in Benidorm. So our conferences aren't in stuffy hotels in the UK. We go to Benidorm, we go to Portugal, we go all over the world to these conferences. And one of the key things, I went to a seminar on HR and employing good staff, and we all very much feel the same, that we need to pull together as an industry to bring good people through. And you absolutely do have the best opportunities if you work hard for young people coming through.
Yeah, as I say, information will be at the bottom of the page so you can access Beverley Travel and book some holidays while you're listening. But yes, thanks so much, Kelly, for your time today. I really appreciate you talking to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rachel.